Here's how you build a 5.3 liter LS for $3,300. First, you port the stock cylinder heads. Then you grab a texasspeed chopper copper cam, get all the accessory parts you need. From there, you get a cold air intake, and for fuel, you have 42 to 52 pound injectors. And then you have a fuel pump booster, like one from MSD, Vortec, or Procharger, even a booster pump. Keep that in mind for part 2 of this video. And as far as the transmission goes, we have a 2800 stall converter and a Jegs transmission cooler. Now there's two things going on in this build. You may have noticed, first off, this is a stock bottom end build. What you may not know is that this is an anti-LS swap build. Now you might be thinking, Z, what does that mean, anti-LS swap? It means buying a car that comes with an LS motor from the factory, and ideally a running car as well. Cars, or in this case trucks, like the Chevy Tahoe, the Chevy Silverado, GMC Sierra, and the Envoy. Now, depending on which one you choose, you can find running examples of them for about the same price as these parts. You cannot find an LS swap with everything you need for this price. Even if you find the motor from a junkyard, and assuming it's not damaged, you still have to source an ECU, a harness, literally every other part you will need, and you have to make it all fit within an entirely different chassis. With that being said, how many of you hear people talk about wanting to do an LS swap but never do? You might even be one of them. How many of them start with an LS swap but never finish? And out of the ones that do finish, how many swaps are completed actually run right? Now, not only does this cost a lot of money, but it costs a lot of time as well. And in the same breath, I can easily say, if you've done a few LS swaps successfully, ignore everything I'm saying in this video, you know what you're doing. But it still took some time. This is a bit more convenient, and depending on the fuel, octane, injector size, and tuning with the setup I mentioned earlier, you can make about 400 horsepower or more to the wheels. And on top of that, from what we've seen, as far as stock intake manifolds go, and anything from a budget build approach, especially if it's all motor, the intake manifolds that flow the best are the truck ones. And I understand that prices may vary throughout the time, but this is a practical approach to an LS swap. To put it simply, don't do an LS swap. And with that being said, do you want to do an LS swap, or did you used to want to do an LS swap? Or are you considering a more practical approach now? Now stay tuned for part 2, where we talk about a turbo and supercharged budget build. Now like, subscribe, and share. If you don't know, now you know, but do what you want to do.